judging by the power rings, I've done 4 of these. And there are 9 spectrums of the emotional spectrum. So, yeah, I still have a couple more to go. But as I am here in Limbo, I can see the things that I have, but not quite interact with them. And I realize I have a lot of stuff. In my lifetime, I have collected a lot of stuff. Because I have this obsessive compulsive nature that is something that I gleefully accept, but at the same time has caused me some trouble. It's never gotten as bad as, sacrificing everything for stuff. Um, Maybe there have been occasions in my life where I have become a penny pincher. Instead of buying a burger and a soda, I buy a Maruchan soup and save the money to buy comic books. Or if I wanted to save for a video game console, if I could walk a couple of blocks and save on public transportation, I would do that. It's good exercise. So yeah, if I had a bill to pay, I instead of buying a chocolate bar or something chocolatey, I would just not buy it, save the money, and pay my bill. So, but I've always had everything prioritized. Family comes first, then paying my bills because I don't like owing stuff, paying my bills, and then me buying clothes, buying food. Yeah, I will freely admit that if I wanted something, I would go to the dollar store, buy groceries there, and then when I got stuff, I would buy regular food because the dollar stuff is questionable at best, but it's still good. Still good, but the quality is not as good as you don't get the same quality going to the dollar store that you get going to Walmart. Same in Mexico, you don't get the same quality, especially in Mexico. You don't get the same quality going to the dollar store that you do going to Calimax or Comercial Mexicana. That's the good stuff. But I do have this obsessive compulsive thing where when I get into something and I find a subject really interesting, I go all out into it. And it's evolved through the years, but my main passions are still the same. I am still passionate about movies. I love going to the movies. I love buying movies. I am a big fan of physical media, of being able to grab something, read the little booklet, read the synopsis on the back. Back in the day, when they had good box art, looking at the box art, and the box art was always way better than the actual movie. And I like, owning it. I like having a complete set of something, like having a complete Rocky collection. I love the fact that I have that. Having a complete Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm still working on my Friday the 13th. I just need part 5. I love owning a weird-ass, obscure movie that no one's heard about, because then I can take it and let someone else borrow it, even though I risk them not giving it back. And it's only happened like 5 times. But 2 of those times were video games, and then the 3 times were movies. But that's why I've also gotten picky on letting people borrow my stuff. I'm very, very picky about people borrowing my stuff. I don't like people borrowing my stuff because they won't take care of it the same way I do. When someone lends me something, I take care of it as if it was mine. I very carefully take it out of the DVD or CD case, very carefully put it on the DVD or CD player or the video game console, play it, and very carefully put it back in. And I don't let anyone else grab it. If they lend it to me, it's my responsibility. But I've lent stuff to people, and they give it back all scratched to shit, and then it doesn't work anymore. And I was like, I called them up on it, like, what? Or they don't give it back. I lent 2 video games in my entire life, and I never got those back. But I lent movies, and they're like, what the hell did you do with my movie? It's like, it fell down to the floor, and and my kids scratched it, but it's still good, and it's not. It's not. I have to rebuy the movie. So I'm very, very picky about people borrowing. Even with my family, I'm kind of picky because they don't take care of my stuff the same way I do. And I don't know if that's wrong. I've heard people say that that's wrong. That I shouldn't be that way. It's just material things. It's it doesn't compare to a living thing. But I like my material things. I like people, but I like my material things. I like keeping everything pristine and if possible, in mint condition. I like taking care of my stuff, and a lot of people don't get that, and it kind of bugs me. But it's something that I've grown to accept. Not a lot of people feel the same. A lot of people that feel the exact same way that I do, and a lot of people don't. They can't rationalize me owning all this stuff. And so, but I love owning movies. I love owning movies and movie-related stuff. I have a lot of props that I enjoy owning, even though they take up a lot of space. Same with my comic books. I love comic books. I love reading comics. But comic books, like I mentioned, got me through a really, really rough time in my life when I was bullied. When I was bullied, I would just get home, read a comic book, and escape for 15 minutes. And so they got me through a really tough time, and I will always be grateful to comic books for being my psychological anchor. And I love collecting comics. I love looking at the covers. I love reading what happens to the characters. I love owning a very, very extensive run of Batman and X-Men and Wolverine comic books. It brings me joy. It makes me happy. And same with video games. I love video games. One of my fondest memories is playing Nintendo with my dad on the Christmas when Santa Claus got us the NES. He just the fact that I was able to interact with my dad, my brother, and my mom sitting in front of the TV and playing Super Mario Brothers, that memory makes me happy. And I love my video games. Even though I don't buy video games as often as I used to, I love owning what I own and seeing stacks of stuff there. And I don't know if that's wrong, but it makes me happy. It makes me happy. So those three have always been my passion. They're the stuff that I'm most passionate about. But of course, I've also gotten into collecting, trading cards. I've fallen a number of times into the hole of collecting trading cards, and I have a couple of trading cards. Magazines are another one. Nintendo Power, Club Nintendo, Game Informer, wrestling magazines. I just like owning that stuff. The collectible cups, the Nerf guns. I still have a bunch of Nerf guns, and every time I see a Nerf gun, I want it. And what else? Action figures. I have a whole bunch of action figures and statues, and 2 boxes worth of Comic-Con free stuff that I'm gonna give away. And I don't know what that says about me, but I like owning stuff. I like having it and sharing it with other people. When I have people over and they see my movie collection, they're like, "Oh my God, you have Vampire's Kiss with Nicolas Cage," and I'm like, "Yes, I do. You want to watch it? Yes, I do, because I want to see Nicolas Cage just freak out, man." And that makes me happy to be able to share that with other people. But at the same time, it's kind of cost me a couple of problems with the wife, because we have a daughter, and we're gonna have a son, and there's 3 people, well, 4 with me, but 3 people that I share space with, and the stuff that I have, well, it's not a lot of stuff. I don't want to give the impression that I have a lot of stuff. I don't. I have gotten rid of stuff here and there, but for the most part, movies, video games, and comic books are the stuff that occupies the most space, and that's always going to be there. But I do have to, thin out the stuff, like the comic book, the Comic-Con stuff. I can get rid of that. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. I'm not going to lie. Every time I sell stuff, like right now I'm selling the collectible Cinepolis cups, it hurts because I really loved collecting those. But, my wife gave me the ultimatum to get rid of stuff, or she's going to throw stuff behind my back. And I'm like, I'd rather get rid of the stuff myself. I'm not gonna get rid of the movies, the comic books, or the video games. But if you put a knife to my throat, I'm gonna get rid of the cups and the Comic-Con stuff and a few things here and there. But I like physical things. I used to be ashamed of it, but not anymore. I like showcasing my movies and my comic books, and some people might call that avarice. I just call it being prideful of the things that I love. But my family comes first, so that's why I'm thinning out my collection and getting rid of certain stuff. Whatever I can inherit to my kids, like the action figures, I'll do so. Whatever I can't, I'll sell. And the only thing I'm going to keep are, like I mentioned on Facebook before I got sent to Limbo, my comic books, my movies, my video games, my lucha libre stuff, or wrestling stuff, and my Halloween stuff, which involves all costumes, props, and whatever. And the CDs. I won't get rid of my CDs or my books, because I can read, and I am reading books to my kids. So yeah, everything else has to go. I'm not happy about it. I mean, I wish I had a lot of money so I can buy a bigger house and build a really kick-ass room for my daughter, a really kick-ass room for my son, a really kick-ass room with walk-in closets for my wife, and keep a playroom for myself, my own personal man cave, where I can keep everything that I have. But I'm not a millionaire, which sucks. But yeah, I like owning stuff, and I won't get rid of the stuff that I like. Can't help it. It's something I've always preached. People don't change. And if you're really passionate about something, no one should ask you to change. Look at that. The orange ring of Avarice. Precious. My precious. Yes. 5 rings to go. 5 rings down. 4 to go. Because there are 9 rings.